Leenock has brought things back. A lot of people expected him to go down against Curious, both of them specialists in the ZVZ matchup, but Leenock has survived, and now he has to play against another Zerg, Life.
Yeah, Life is going to be the next player. It's player number 3 for Team StarTale today. As the last player, everyone expects Bomber to come out, but maybe he does not have to, or maybe the StarTale coach has a different plan today. We know for sure, though, that Leenock is the last man standing for his team.
I think, in my opinion, like, it has to be Bomber last, if it comes to that, and that would be just such an epic clash. I mean, Leenock versus Life alone is epic. Leenock versus Curious was epic, so if Life takes this, then it's all over, but I think Leenock may be able to do it. He plays another safe, aggressive, you know, mech controlling style.
Yeah, he already won the first game, and his decision-making was excellent, but it was also a game that Life could witness live, so he knows what was happening there. And right now, he has the choice to make. Does he play aggressive, or does he try a more defensive build? Life definitely one of those players that has also a lot of experience in this matchup. He does not reach to the win ratio that Leenock has. Leenock's still a little bit better there. But Life just recently played a lot of matches, not only in WCS, but also in the GSTL. So let's see what he can do here.
Yeah, so Tristram is the map. This is another one of those maps where it's just, you look at the map and you don't think, okay, well, this is a great map for blank strategy in ZVZ. It's just all strategies are available. 2-player map means that, you know, you can do aggressive cool builds without scouting your opponent's location. And that's all there is to really say. It all is up to these 2 players of what builds they want to pick.
Yeah, Life, the one with the map pick, of course, he can also work towards the last play, towards Bomber. But we're going into this game right now. You have the GSTL, Life versus Leenock. Howlin' Wolf. To the top left of the map for StarTale, we have the 3rd player. It is
StarTale, Life.
Going for a little bit more of a normal build, both of them with the Overlord. Pretty standard. Bottom right, we have his opponent.
FXO Leenock.
Leenock taken just really, really impressive win last game. Taken all sorts of advantages over his opponent, just based on what he had seen, the information that he had, and really, really it paid off. So another player going for an early pool this game, though. Kind of surprising considering that Tristram is a 2-player map where the rush distance is relatively small.
Leenock taking a bit of a disadvantage here at the APM. Life just spamming it out. But despite them, not a whole lot going down here. Both players are actually starting things off on 15. But we have a pool for Life first, whereas Leenock decides to go into the hatch.
And Leenock gets a slight advantage, arguably, over this. But you know how ZVZ works because of the queen mechanic. If you get the pool faster, you get the queen faster, you get a few more larvae faster. So it's basically even, but most people would argue Leenock has a slight edge with this build.
Yeah, at this point, of course, the hatch for Life goes down as well, but Leenock goes into the early gas once more. That's one of the main things that won him the game against Curious in game number 1, because he had that advantage in tech. The Zergling's really doing a lot here in this game, and Life is just taking the gas a little bit later than his opponent here, still waiting for that. But yeah, Leenock with the decision-making in the last game. I would not have sent out a Zerg player. Life is a great Zerg player, but as a coach, I would have looked at the screen and would be like, nah, screw that. We're going to send in something else.
Yeah. Life really shocked me as the player pick. Like I said, I would have picked Hack over him in this situation. Anyway, as it is, Leenock having a pretty good position in this game because he has the hatchery first and the faster gas, so he has both of those going for him here. The faster queen for Life means that, yes, he does have a little bit more injectability, but no gas here means he's probably going to get extra queens, and that's going to be quite critical because he's going to need them to defend against any sort of speedling aggression that Leenock wants to put on here.
You know, I personally actually really expected Avenge to come out here. Life is a great player, by the way. It's not like he has no chance against Leenock. We talked about both of them being strong in this matchup. Leenock maybe a little bit more so than Life these days. But I would expect Avenge for the simple reason that they faced each other already in August, and that was when Avenge won his game. So that was one of the reasons why I actually thought a Protoss player would come out and then a Bomber. But the StarTale coach decided that it's time for a second ZVZ, and this time we have Lenog not only with the speed but also with the earlier Baneling Nest. Let's see how Life is going to fare against that.
Yeah, with the extra queens, Life can wall his ramp quite easily. On the other hand, this map, the choke point, to wall that off, you need a tumor because the creep doesn't extend to where the choke point is. So this could be Lenog actually trying to go for an aggressive speedly Baneling attack, and if Life doesn't prepare appropriately, he may die. This isn't necessarily what we're going to see. There's the tumor. He absolutely needs that, and there's the spine as well.
The one thing that we have to consider here too is, like, if you go down the match history of Life, the one thing that you actually like immediately realize is that he has a lot of the recent matches where he lost. He lost against Symbol, for example. He lost against Hydra twice. So that's another reason why I completely understand that he said the choice shocked you a little bit. But right now, I don't know. I'm really interested to see what exactly we have in terms of decision making, because Lenog already decided that he wants to be not only the aggressor but also the one who goes into the fast attack, and Life will have to play defensive game and then come back into like the mid game.
Yeah, and this is almost the same thing we saw in the previous game, except I mean he's just putting on this aggression where he intentionally shows the Banelings. This is very clearly intentional. Shows the Banelings here. He's faking aggression while he adds gases and goes into a fast Spire, and this is going to give him map control. So he's faking out this aggression, sends the Banelings back even, doesn't even waste them. And I like this style. Life gets the Evolution Chambers similarly to his teammate Curious, has the Roach Horn as well. But I'm really liking Lenog's position. I like this spread of the tumors because he knows that if it is in fact just like what happened last game, any extra tumor that's going to give his Roaches a faster counterattack potential is definitely useful for him here.
And you know why both players are just taking it easy right now? One thing to note, a really interesting stat, is that if you actually look at Live statistics in ZVZ in general, he has a 55-57% win ratio. Lenog is up in the 60s. But then if you actually filter out the non-Koreans, and that's kind of the people, the players that scout, Live's win ratio suddenly drops rapidly down to 43. And in this matchup, this is quite significant. So yeah, he's below 50% against Korean Zerg players, whereas Lenog has nearly only played against Koreans. I think he has one non-Korean in his recent game history. So from this point of view, Lenog definitely the one with the edge here. And he's already moving in and trying to deny that dirt. And whoa! Great save! Spore cancel and going into the hatch. That was a pretty cool move here by Life.
Yeah.
But also by Lenog.
And without that creep, he would not have been able to get away with that. So that was another way where that creep comes in handy. He spreads it to the south as well. Against this type of play from Lenog, that creep helps you immensely here. We do see a lot more Zerlings coming out for Lenog here. He's building his gas count up. He is going to make probably around 10 or so Mutalisks when that Spire finishes.
And with the tech path that we have for Life, I feel it's pretty unlikely that we're seeing him with an Infestation Pit instead of a Hydra Den here. The Infestation Pit, of course, later down the road will probably be built by him if possible, but I feel his choice against the Mutalisks are going to be the Hydra since he's going straight into 1-1. Makes a lot of sense for him.
Yeah, with the Roaches and the Queens here, on the other hand, Lenog not going to be able to get the cancel on the space this time. 6 Mutas first here, and a few more, of course, as he gets the minerals and the gas. So he's going to go up to about 10, like I said.
Spore crawlers have been started, the first ones. He saw the Spire with his Overseer at the bottom right and immediately goes into this. And, ooh, wow, we actually have a lag here in the game. Thankfully, none of the players, one of the Observer PCs is currently lagging out, so at least the game will be able to be continued.
Yes. And, yeah, this is not going to be a big problem. It will, of course, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's the backup observing PC for the Koreans, so that's not going to cause any problems even on the Korean stream.
But talking a little bit about the situation in the game, both of the players are currently looking at 3 bases. We have the tech completed for Lenog. He has the first Mutalisk about to pop out, and Life has identified that. He had an Overseer scouting at the bottom right. He saw the Spire attack and immediately started to get his own Spore Crawlers up. He himself is going into Roaches with +1/+1 upgrades, and will most likely start with a Hydra Den so that they can benefit from the upgrades as well, and then try to just move in and take control of the map. But for Lenog, it's really important to do some damage with the Mutalisks and not only control the map. Lenog's first goal is going to be to kill stray Overlords on the map itself, but Life should at this point actually rally all the Overlords back to his base.
Yeah, absolutely correct. GOMTV has left the game, but we're still here. And the Lings go for a counterattack from a different angle, but all that creep spread really helping his vision of where the Lings are going to come from.
And I'm actually wrong, he's not going into Hydralisk, he's going into an Infestation Pit instead and wants to go for the Fungal. The problem that you have with Hydras is that they are of course quite vulnerable against Banelings that roll in, so you have to be careful that you always shield them with the Roaches. And that can be iffy. A lot of players would decide to go into the Hydra then here though, but not so Life in this situation, going for the Infestation Pit, trying to go for the Fungal, and kind of emulating the style that we saw from Curious in game number 1.
Yeah, and you know there's a lot of great placement for these spores that he's used here. I phrased that a little bit oddly, but he's placed the spores quite well, and this means the Mutas can't even really poke into Scout very well. Nice little Roach counterattack here, and I'm really liking how Life is doing this. He's playing basically in every way what Curious could not do in the previous game. He just has a little bit of an edge over his opponent here. All the spores in the right place, doing good damage with the Roaches.
Linog is not really overcommitting to those Mutalisks on the other hand. This time he's transitioning out of them, going into the +1/+1 upgrades for his range units too, and trying to set up his own Roach Force against what we currently see on the map with his opponent. Also adding his own Infestation Pit here.
Yeah. And, you know, you said it really well about the Overlord pulls. Immediately Life pulled all his Overlords back. He lost very few of those, so it didn't really affect his production. That's why you see him with this significant lead over Linog, because Linog committed so much to the Mutas, and a lot of that gas that he wanted to put into his upgrades was delayed, and then that affected his Roach production, his Infestation Pit. The question becomes now, will Linog try to hold on to a 4th base while he has these Mutas out, or is he going to wait? I think he's going to wait here just to be safe, because right now Life has built enough Roaches and he has those Infestors that he could have a strong push coming across the map.
Life is also just still continuing to spread his creep here, as you can see. And we have him with a +2 attack upgrade starter. That is starting to be a little bit more important since Linog decided to transition out of his own composition and start his own set of upgrades. So if Life wants to maintain this upgrade lead, he really has to make sure that he gets the armor upgrade as well. So far he doesn't really have it. The Mutalisks still have to be careful. Queens are leading though, and therefore there's just nearly no way for the Infestor to get close enough since Linog spots those dots on the minimap immediately.
Yeah. Linog is just trying to reduce the creep spread as best as he can here, because if he can do that, it means that he delays any pushes that come towards him while he's trying to catch up with his tech. His Infestation Pit, churning out that Pathogen Glands, 2-2 going to start soon.
It's also a little bit more about vision even, since there are no Overlords on the map for Life anymore, because Linog forced all of them back, he has to rely on the creep tumors for vision. And get that early warning system against incoming attacks, like this one for example, and it allowed him to move back immediately. And those Roaches are basically just running in a circle and running away.
Yeah, gonna get a tumor here on his way out, and with all of that, all of the attacks that he's able to pull off here, he delays Life, but Life is getting the Hydralisk Den now. Both of them going to be even up. That was a weird fungal. Both of them going to be even in upgrades here fairly soon, unless something changes with Life's production. They're both very close in Roaches, 45-41 in Life's favor.
Well, the Mutalisks are still trying to roll them. We have 4th base even going down now, and we have the armor upgrade also started for Life, adding the Hydralisks. No range just yet for them, and neither did he start the speed upgrade. But the Mutalisks are still active on the map. I'm not quite sure if they actually saw that 4th base, if he really saw it, or if he just assumes that there might be one at some point. But he has to make sure that those Infestors are not getting too close.
Yeah. Really nice tumor denies here. I'm liking Lenog's play about that. Just being very meticulous about delaying those. Like you said, taking away the vision. And also it affects the speed of the units. It affects how Infestors can chase his Mutas, for example.
Really passive game. Both of these players are just trying to just feel each other out, trying to look for an opening here, not overextend. The 4th base going down for both of them. Hive Tech now coming up. We have even a small supply block here since another Overlord was targeted. And you could just see that Linog Life in particular, is building a lot of spines and spores right now, so that run-bys are not going to be so effective.
Yeah.
Because the more bases you have, the harder it is to defend them. So the structures that he's building right now make a lot of sense.
Linog is going for burrow movement, which probably won't be too big of a deal, but it could be. And that Hive that you talked about really just goes to show that Life is looking for the late game here. He wants to have 3-3 first. He wants to have the much better upgrades for his units. He knows that this game is going super late. I do not think we'll have a snipe on this Hydralisk Den, but Linog is going for it a little bit here.
Well, the thing that he's going for is apparently like also the option of going to Broodlords. Oh, the sniper Hydra then gets it after all. We have a fight in the middle of the map and another attempted attack at the fourth. Currently all those structures are not done just yet, but the funnels are good and suddenly they're in range of a spine crawler. A couple of spine crawlers that we have in the fourth phase are preventing the worst, but we have Leonok moving in once again.
And Leonok, I don't know how well he's really trading here. He loses all of his units at the fourth, does not kill the hatchery, does not micro, and loses way too much here at the third base, and I think that was a great trade for Life, who now gets Overlord drops. We could see some of that crazy old school Overlord drop that we saw in Wings of Liberty during like the middle stages of Wings of Liberty and ZVZ. +3 attack, and like you said, maybe even Broodlords with that Spire coming in. I think it's very likely.
That was definitely a really, really good move here for Life. The defense was great. Leonok overextending himself a tiny little bit. +3 attack has been started. Vipers coming into play now. Also a great choice that he can utilize. Broodlords, of course, will be the very late scenario here.
Vipers.
Yeah,
for Blinding Cloud here. And, you know, one thing I want to point out is that Leonok is actually ahead in Harvester supply by 16. And that also means that he is below in army supply. So he gets a little bit of a better income, but his army is much smaller as a result. Fungals are flying here.
Really good splits once again for Life. He gets those few Fungals, and we have the Spine Crawlers in position. The attack at the fourth has stopped for now, and Life is retreating with the rest of his army to catch as many of the retreating units of Leonok as possible.
Left attack as well, down here at the fourth. Spine Crawlers holding tight for now, and I believe he should be able to hold this easily.
Fungal Blinding Cloud is such a scary composition. If you get one of those off, that is atrocious to deal with.
Leonok really utilizing that burrow movement just a little bit here, and that economy that Leonok has actually allows him to reproduce.
Yeah.
But he's not trading very efficiently. So I would say both players, when it comes to trading armies, it comes down to being pretty even. But Life is getting the better upgrades. He's getting the better tech. He's really pushing that forward.
But he does not have the bank. Leonok has a massive lead in the income when it comes to the minerals, and that gives him an edge here. He can rebuild his army, whereas Life, on the other hand, still has the better army size. And now with the Vipers in play, he has the Blinding Cloud that he can use, but his fourth is under attack, and he's most likely going to lose it.
Leonok actually could just burrow movement here away and try to distract him. That's exactly what he does. The hatchery is dead. And Fungals here on those units, nicely done, perfectly aimed. Leonok trades okay here on the other hand, and he has that bank that you were talking about, and now he's up in not only Harvesters, but also in hatcheries.
Yeah, but Life is most likely going to attack like pretty soon here. With a +3 attack upgrade, he could actually make that work.
He's losing Infestors though, loses 1, 2.
That's an issue. That's something that he did not see at all. He might lose another one. No.
Still losing quite a few there, and Leonok continues the attack. He has to make sure he does not overextend himself though. If he loses this army, that could be too much.
Oh, and here comes the Blinding Cloud, and the Fungal sets both of them up. Not the best moves here, but still, like the move itself was pretty good, but he did not really sync them up too well. But right now we have still the army supply for Life, and he has to do something. I mean, he's building his fourth once again, but he has to go to the bottom right and do some damage on him.
Yeah, he really has to actually just walk across the middle of the map. Leonok has not given him that chance, not even once, with all these counterattacks, but I feel like at some point Life just has to ignore this attack to the left, cancel the hatchery, and go for his own attack, because if he keeps turning around, that gives Leonok the time he needs to rebuild his army with the better economy that he has. He gets away.
At some point, Life might just have to YOLO it.
Yeah.
Right now he has a +3 attack upgrade, and that's an advantage since Leonok doesn't have 3-3. But once those two upgrades are done, Leonok will be ahead in the upgrades, and as mentioned before, the option for Life to go into Broodlords is something that he utilizes now. But will Broodlords really make it work for him? And oh my god, we will have Swarmhosts up against Broodlords. This could be, once again, the endless battle. They're kind of countering each other out.
Yeah. I did not expect... I thought they were going to go the opposite way. I thought it was going to be Life going for Broodlords.
With this actually really makes sense.
Yeah, it does. He got +2 pretty quick. Leonok, that is. And that already builds on what he had with the Mutalisk. But this base is cancelled again. In Life, going for the Broodlords will give him, if he leaves his Broodlords at home, a decent defense against the Roaches, but the Roaches just have so much DPS, he can kind of bypass that. I guess he could also try to send the Broodlords over to the right side. This is weird.
I really love the army composition for Life. The problem that I have is the economy. No bank for Life, and Leonok just has so much, and the 3-3 is now it is done actually now. So at this point, things are starting to look quite grim for Life. He does not have the fourth base. Played a great game so far, but Leonok, with his constant harass, his constant aggression, was the one who always beat him down.
Leenock has gotten pretty close to army supply now, but and up until this moment, he's been oftentimes 30, 40, even 50 army supply down, and he's made a lot work with just a little. Runs these roaches away, keeps one of the roaches over there to spot for the drone. And it looks like Life may never remake that base. He might actually just try to end the game right now, which I feel, given the circumstances, is a decent choice. He's losing Infestors, though. 1 down, 2 down.
Second, a third, a fourth. Oh, God, he's going to lose all of them.
And even the roaches force him to turn around again, and Leenock has the economy to reproduce. Misses 1 Infestor there.
Yeah, but still, I mean, Leenock is getting out there. He lost his bank, but he's getting a 5th base right now, and he has the time to rebuild his army once that Life makes the move to go to the bottom right. And Leenock also has the tech. So at this point, things just look horrible for Life. He's moving out with his army, leaving units behind to defend, but even those are not enough.
Yeah, Leenock way down on army supply again, but just making a lot of it work. He's got this Death Ball, though, crashing down on him here. 5 Broodlords, so many of those roaches here.
The composition is great for Life. This is one of the things that he really has going for him. And also the superior supply in army side. But now he has to take down this entire army of Leenock. And Leenock, well, that's the army that he has to rely upon. He has he doesn't have the bank anymore that he had earlier, so he has to fight with his 2. Life could still win this game.
Yeah, absolutely so. He's got the better position when it comes to armies battling. Leenock is damaging only an economy right now, economy that could arguably hardly be damaged any further.
Life goes straight for the 3rd. He leaves a few units at the natural. He knows that there's the tech, but the income is at that 3rd.
And the bundles,
those Corruptors, the bundle is good, and the Corruptors take down the
Infested Terrans on top of all the Hydras. He's got nowhere to run, and Leenock looks to be crushing this army. Just way too many Infested Terrans. The Vipers are dead, so are the Overseers, and Life drops down to 87 supply here.
The army supply is still at 65. He has those units at the natural, but we still have units at the top left, just now cleared by Life. He lost his entire army. The Corruptors, he didn't see them. He got bundled and then blindsided by the Corruptors, moving in, sniping the Broodlords. He had everything set up, but did not account for the Corruptors of his opponent.
No, he definitely did not. He's now down to about half the supply of his opponent. There's even a 5th base up at the top right for Leenock that is mining. Has been spotted and corrupted, or contaminated, I should say, but it's not going to be enough to change the tide of this game. Look at the bank for Leenock. Look at the income. He has nearly 10 times, and oftentimes more than 10 times his opponent's income right now in minerals.
This is not looking good. I mean, overall supply, he's doubling his opponent's supply. Leenock is now rebuilding his Roach Warren, but he's moving his army to the left side of the map, and Life is starting to run out of mineral patches. His income is horrible at this point, and, well, Leenock, he is just trying to close out this game now.
Looks like he may be able to do just that, splitting his Corruptors a little bit here. Bundles on Corruptors not too useful at this point. Way too many Infested Terrans for Life to deal with. And Leenock's trying to make the comeback lurk. This is like Leenock of old.
Leenock is accomplishing the 2nd victory for his team here. GG. And now the series is tied at the 3-3. Leenock with 2 wins and only 1 to go.
This looks exactly like the FXOpen Leenock that we have seen in Team Leagues of old, where he comes out last and he starts taking names and turns Team Leagues around. 1 win away now of actually taking this match. It looked really, really dire for FXOpen, but now the question is it going to be Bomber? And I think the answer just has to be yes.
Bomber will have to be the last play. The StarTale coach starting to get worried. They were in a great spot, leading this match with this 3-1, and then it was time for the Linoctopus to crawl his way out of the GSTL slump and to victory, beating 2 players in a row, and now forcing out the ace for StarTale.
Looking really, really nasty all of a sudden for StarTale. Life just getting dominated in the later parts of that game. He had a great composition, but he got flanked, his economy was always in tatters. Leenock just kept him running back, and I think Life may needed to attack earlier with that big army that he had, but he kept turning around.
You can really see Leenock just bouncing there. He's on fire right now.
Yeah.
He's actually really on fire. He wants to go for the 3rd game. He wants to go up against Bomber. But I don't know, Bomber actually looking a little bit somber on the map. Maybe it's not going to even be him. It has to be him, I feel, but he didn't look too happy about this.
If they send Avenge out to play against Leenock, that would really surprise me, but he is sitting there on the edge.
Yeah, I would have expected Avenge a little bit earlier, but it looks like it might be Avenge.
Yeah, it could be him. I mean, just based on his position on the bench, that's oftentimes where you see players ready to go sitting so that they can stand up and go right away to the booth when the announcement is made. I think it could be him, but I want to see Bomber here because I think he has more experience. He He just has a better chance of winning this, in my opinion.
I want to see Bomber versus Leenock. That's all I want to see. So,
well, I mean, that too
would be a great choice. I mean, let's not forget about Avenge winning against Leenock already just a few weeks ago. But I feel that Bomber would be really great, especially, of course, for the audience here. Who's it going to be? Looks like Avenge, and it's him.
Wow, what a shocker, really. I expected him instead of Life, but not him instead of Bomber. And Leenock is ready. He now has to play his second matchup. He won 2 ZVZs, now has to beat a Protoss. And for both of these players, it's winner takes all.
I expected Bomber to come out instead of Life, and then the last player being Avenge. That's what I expected, but I did not really see this coming. I thought that we would see Bomber for sure today.
Notice that Avenge's best place to come out is actually last, and he's 4-1 with that. That's a stat that's not always the most relevant, but it does go to show that when he's sent out last, when it's all up to him, he's won 80% of the time.
That's also not right.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true.
That's...
Well, I don't know, actually. They do send him out last quite a few times. I mean, that might be his best win ratio, not the one that is sent out the most down.
Okay, maybe including like last season. It might be right, but yeah, with the wins that he got.
He's a solid player, no doubt about it.
I actually don't know how they count that. Like, if you go out second and you win 3 in a row, how do they count that? Does that count for second?
I think it's basically the best win percentage per place, not even the most wins. So, for example, if he's come out first and won 20 games, but he has lost more than that, then it doesn't matter because he has 80% coming out last. I think that's how they calculate it. Obviously, he hasn't come out first 20 times. That was just a weird example that I pulled out of my head. But Shoya is looking pretty happy about this, actually. I think he's feeling confident here.
Well, he shouldn't be too happy. As we said already, all the Avenge beat Leenock once, and Avenge has actually a really good track record against Zerg these days. That's one of the reasons why we expected him instead of Life. I just didn't expect him instead of Bomber. So, going up against Leenock, the map is going to be Frost.
A good choice. It could go to late game on this map. Anything is possible here. Leenock loves his speedling aggression. He loves to be aggressive early with roaches even. Just wants to control the game early, then go for the late game. That's generally how he plays this matchup. Avenge has to be ready for this. Avenge oftentimes this matchup plays Deer style, gets a really fast third base, tries to go air. We've seen all sorts of strategies from him. We've seen 3-base massive Blink Stalker plays with a few Colossi. Leenock has to be ready for anything, but I think Leenock is going to try to set the pace early, be aggressive. And it's, like I said, winner takes all. Whoever wins this match, this is the final set. This decides which team takes the win.
This is going to be a great match, but I can't help myself. I'm a little bit disappointed that we don't get to see Bomber versus Leenock today. I was so looking forward to that match. There was one of those matchups of old, you know, like when I first came to Korea, these were the games that we've been seeing, and most of the few exciting matches that we've seen were in this matchup, Terran versus Zerg, Leenock being on the Zerg side, and Bomber one of the Terrans that Leenock had his best matches against. So that's really something that I missed a little bit. But the game against Avenge is going to be great. We had already both of them facing up against each other. It was a cool match. Now we're going to see the rematch here, the GSTL FXOpen up against StarTale, Leenock versus Avenge. Brought to you by Colorado.